نعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم من همزه ونفخه ونفثه. I seek refuge in Allah from the rejected shaitan. And I seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the whispering of the shaitan, from his deception, from his illness, as well as his black magic and his sorcery. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسول الله وأشهد أن علي وسيء ورسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وخليفة بلا فاسد. I bear witness that nothing has the right to be worshipped except Allah, who is unique and who has no associates. And I bear witness that the Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a servant, slave, and messenger. I also bear witness that the Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam is the guardian Imam that is appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that he is the wasi, he's the sole successor to the Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. My beloved sisters and brothers, to the Muslims and the Muslimas, to the gods and the goddesses, to all those believers who sit before us and listen to the YouTube channels, the Facebook channels, the Instagrams, and all other forms of communications that we are having today to reach one another. I want all of you to know that my holy and sovereign name is Imam Mahdi Fazail Akbar, and I am the promised Messiah. As well, I want you to know once again, over and over again, I will continue to pound this into you, that I am the one who is challenging chattel slavery in the United States of America. The titled name is Sejurist Fizel versus the United States of America, in reference to challenging chattel slavery in the United States of America, that puts us all under the representation, I would say, or the slave representation of the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendment of the United States Constitution. I want to greet all of my brothers and sisters, my constituents, in the beautiful and divine Arabiya, in the holy words of peace. We say as Muslims throughout the entire world, we say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am coming to you once again with another episode in the daytime from the Temple of Kuket. This is the place in which I have called the Master Temple, the dark room, the place in which all developments come to life. This is a place of blueprints. For every master has come into his own existence by coming through the channels and the chambers of the dark room. For the dark room represents triple darkness, a womb or universe in which all of us come from, being direct descendants from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. Now here's another thing that I'd like to say to you in starting this speech or presentation of today, or even a lecture of today, is that once again, I would like you to understand that we're not concerned today of how you feel about something. We have a crisis. And when you have a crisis, those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the supreme being, has chosen and raised up to deal with the crisis that you have before you and before my people, you cannot be shy of bringing it before the people. Simply put, we're at war. And we are at war against an ideology, a psychology that has dehumanized us and denationalized us, that in which has taken us away from all of the Constitution and the rights that we have had through a due process system that not is only fixed in the United States government and its Constitution. I'm speaking to you about a due process system in your own existence, in your own nature. The basat, the innate constitution that's inside of you and I, that gives us due process. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has always guided us. He's always given us what we need. He's always put a messenger before us. In my coming, I have studied a chain of masters. So now I find myself in the master temple of Phuket. There is a serious matter that is before us, and some of you worldwide did not expect my coming as a black Messiah. And today, we can care less. These issues in which I bring before you today covers a lot of ground. But the recitation of the Holy Quran is what we performed with last night, and we will continue in that today after this short presentation or this short speech. For some of you, I'll be honest with you, you really don't know what you're up against. You are slaves. Every individual that sits before me right now, typically I would say to you, according to the assembled jurisdiction inside of the United States Constitution, you're a slave. Now here's the thing that I'm bringing to the table here. I'm simply saying, how is it possible that you understand that you are a slave, even with someone explaining it to you, and you still stay in that position and do nothing about it? That this is what makes me think about you in a particular way. See, at some time and point, you have to wake up. The Kundalini that sits at the base of the coil of the spine contains 3.5 mass of coiled matter. And once the chakra saktis are open, there is a immencing or a coming out of pleasure. But what do you find pleasure in at that moment in time? Is it just the dhikr all day? The remembrance of Allah all day? Is it just to salat all day? Or if in fact that you call the adhan and call the Muslims to prayer, is that enough for you? What is the purpose of having the chakra saktis open? The kundalini, the cobra that sits at the base of our Kemetic science. You see it everywhere. You even see it right here at the base that I have right here, at the base of the temple. Why? And on many pharaohs and And those women who were pharaohs, we come to find out something that was very special. We come to find out that we see it right on the middle of their head. Why is it right there? Right, the Sahasrara, the crown. And it sits right there at the Ajna. It's there. When you see the phoenix, you see the phoenix. Or and sometimes it can be represented as the god Heru. But the all-seeing eye is there for a reason. And then you see the scimitar, the sword on top of it, with sovereignty in it. A new seal, a new flag, a new emblem is about to embrace you. It's about to take you over. Once the energy is received and channeled right, you have a responsibility to handle the business. When you are in a place or position where you can see man and woman, that place and position is just not for you to take it on and be lullaby with it. It is for a particular reason. We're in trouble, man. The moment each one of us came out of the wombs of our sacred ancestors or our sacred mothers, we were facing up against an enemy. So you had a jihad on the inside of your mother's womb. And when you came out of your mother's womb, you had another jihad. And you'll continue to be in a jihad, a striving or a fighting or a war, as we proceed to Jannah, paradise. The power of prayer is great, but the things in which you are praying for, you have to get up and make steps toward that what you're asking for may translate into some material. Now, this is a powerful thing that I'm talking about here today because the science behind it is raw. How can I know and how can I see that we are in chattel slavery and do nothing about it? I don't need nobody with me. I'll challenge him in the court myself. Because when you began to start looking for people to help you do certain things at the level of its legality, most of them fade away because they're not ready to give up everything that they have or that they've gotten from the Caucasian slave master. So it's a blessing in disguise at many times to come from a state of poverty. It's a blessing in disguise at many times to come from the ghetto, especially the ghettos of Chicago, Bronzeville, Inglewood, Pullman area, the Greens. It's a blessing when you're able to come through that and then become the person to fight. You ain't scared of nothing. We're at a moment in time that chattel slavery has got to be addressed in the United States of America, man. You have so many people who have taken office already. The presidency, Barack, 8 years inside of the United States government as the president and didn't do away or transform the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution that we may receive a form of freedom. Why didn't he address these things? why did he take the 14th Amendment and have it amended to the extent where the higher form of the clause, all persons born or naturalized in the United States are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States? Why not have that clause overturned? Because the founding forefathers truly went into the dark chamber and they transformed the situation. Boy, these some wicked people. So now when you have all of the major stars that understands exactly what's going on, what's keeping them from moving forward to challenging this thing? Not only legally, I'm doing that myself. But when do you bust a move and allow the revolution to come and overturn this entire situation? This is not a radical movement. I'm not talking about radicalism. Don't get this caught up like that. If I thought that, I would not be in the federal courts right now. If I thought that, they would have kept me in prison, the place in which I just came from not too long ago. But when it's your time, when you are in your moment, when the poles have shifted, can't nobody hold you back. As a matter of fact, you'll even find Satan at some point in time helping you get to where you got to get to, because guess what? He in trouble too. If you think he ain't still asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for mercy, something is wrong with you. You're not reading your scriptures. The times that we find ourselves in, my sisters and my brothers, we find ourselves in some challenging times, man. You are constituted as the richest slaves on the planet. Na'udhu billahi min ash-shaytani rajim. We seek refuge in Allah from the rejected Satan. The richest slaves on the planet. So that means that you are caught up inside of the extravagance of this world. Everything glitter ain't good. And many things that appears before your eyes need to be examined before you touch them or consume them. Inside of this invincible revolution, inside of this rise to power, I intend, don't need you, man. Because you ain't gonna step up no way and ride with me. Already got riders. And when you have people who are supporting you along with the great being or supreme being, there is me that, the absolute self of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whom have came to life in me, I'll address you. Got a dying nation or a dead nation inside of another nation. The real appearing to be unreal and the unreal appearing to be real. They call it Maya. But you will deal and you will play with the unreal until you conjure it up in your mind as it is real. Everything is about appearance. When you begin to go into the United States Court of Law, it's all about appearance. Why are you still allowing the defense counsel to bag you up? When are you going to step up and become sejurist? When are you going to step up and become the one where they say, here, brother, or here, sister, take your own records and defend yourself? You know why you can't? Because you have not studied. That ain't my case. Right now, there is 3 courts that I'm in right now in the United States judicial court system. 2 in the Northern District and 1 in the Southern District. So when I came out of prison with 3 lawsuits. When I came out of prison as a challenger. The major one that we find that is in the Northern District is dealing with sejurus fiscal versus the United States. Now, not America now. Because there's a difference. There's a corporation that's operating and controlling and enslaving the people of Amexim or the people of America. This thing is corporate. It's money. It's been money. So you have the Caucasian who is, in fact, sovereign and the biggest businessman on the planet, and he's still selling slaves. You and I. You don't want to see it that way. And perhaps I've come before many people. And now, one thing I can say in the last 5 and 6 years, upon my coming and my teaching, even in prison, man, brothers and sisters are reforming themselves. And they're waking up and they're saying something is wrong with this picture. When you hate, you can't think. When you come into the knowledge of self, you receive the love that is already in you. And that love for self begins to make you see some things that you ain't never seen before. Because now you're starting to love yourself than the enemy. Or even somebody else. This is the temple of Kuket. The temple of light. This is the place where the Messiah speaks from. Some of you, as I have already spoken before, you know of me, and guess what you did? You counted me out. But now that you see the invincible revolution, the sovereign invincible revolution that stands before you, and you see the rise to power that is coming after you, and you see the seal, the flag, and the emblem that I have designed. Need your flag no more. Need none you got no more. When we come as native beings, as emperors, as obligors, we come creating our own. We come governing our own. We come educating our own. For this is the SSS, this is the sacred seal of sovereignty. The same thing that our ancestors talked about before, we find ourselves in the midst of it right now. The coming of the last days of the Caucasian rule. They say, oh, now here he is. Now he's getting ready to go into a hate speech here again. This ain't got nothing to do with no hate, man. It's got something to do with studying self. And when you start studying self, you're going to recognize that that wet dream or that wet germ or that wicked germ comes from me. Because I am the original man and every germ is inside of me. So then if that is the case, then why is it that I cannot rule the Caucasian? If the Caucasian comes from me, what makes me not master him and her? That's because you do not have the knowledge of self. Once they see the master come, they will submit or get destroyed. This period in time is the Aquarian age. We are in a period in time, as I've already talked about, and I'll talk about it 1,000 times until you get it. This is reverse harmonic polarizations. The force field has changed. So in many cases now, you go around now and you feel pretty dominant now. Well, you're feeling dominant for a particular reason. You're feeling dominant. Because you're in your time and you're in your moment. And those individuals that you actually find that are talking contrary to this right way of thinking, through thought, activity, it all comes to life. Rid yourself of these people. Should no one inside of your circle be doing anything opposite of what you're doing? This the business. Becoming sovereign is the business. Claiming your DNA claims and decreeing what you have as an indigenous being is the business. It's the order of the day. That's boss. Don't work for nobody. Self-employed, self-guided, only by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Self-sufficiency. You know, most people don't like that because they have not come into the knowledge of self and they have not come into the reality and the essence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot make you self-sufficient. You lie. You have lied to the people. All of you watered down imams and watered down sheikhs and watered down ministers. You've lied to the people so that you could control the people because you understood one thing. If the people ever woke up and recognized that they had the same nature that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, you would be in trouble. So now you can't even control your streets. You can't even control the youth. Because you out of touch with reality. You out of touch with their reality. You speak about prison reform. Reform them with what? The only thing that's working is Islam. You're talking to a 30-year, 27 to 30-year vet of crime. Ain't nothing else never worked in there but the Kemetic science in Islam. And I'll be honest with you, you may find a true Christian brother or a true Christian sister that is into the science of the book. You couldn't touch them. We got some of them on the team that can explain the exact same situation that I'm explaining to you from the Holy Quran. They can explain it to you from the biblical scriptures, the Torah, the Injil, the Pentateuch. They can explain these things because their thinking is from a thinking or level of sovereignty. This is the sovereign invincible revolution. The movement is done. There has been a particular time and moment when people count you out, man. And that's where the good part of it comes in at, because the moment that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala see that they've counted you out is the moment in the time he starts working with you. So, make an excuse and a miracle out of it. You see? So these things are important that we pay attention to certain things. There are a particular bloodline, a DNA. That's what this claim is all about. This is identification. This is classifications, who I am. I am a temple. I am the all-seeing eye. I have 7 chakras that's open. Sahasrara, Ajna, Anahata, Manipura, Swadhisthana, Muladhara, and the Kundalini. When you build from the circle 7, in which is inside of every being. I often hear many conscious rap stars talk about it. 5%ers. Masters. Rakim. Masters. I can hear the Jay-Z talks about it a lot of times. His level. You're jealous. You're mad at his level. Because he can deal and mess around with some people that you can't deal and mess around with. So you become a hater. But we got something for the hater. This whole atmosphere that shifted on you, man. This is what this represents. This represents a waxing gibbous moon. The moon of fertility that gives birth. It sits out about 3 or 4 days from a full moon. That's why you see it cut on this end over here. And then what is reading around it is sovereignty. Embrace the revolution, man. And the thing about it, whether you like it or not, we're bringing it right to life before you. I'm discussing it before you. The document that we have inside of the courts, I structured it and skillfully put it inside of the court, and they accepted it. It's the document of sovereignty, document 44.4 USA. It's official. This is why you see 444 USA. It's official. And the thing about it, when I hit them with a flag, when I hit them with the seal, when I hit them with the emblem, they didn't know what hit them. They were amazed, but they did know one thing. They did know that they had a master before them. See, I can use those terms because I live out of them. And I don't raise no slaves. I raise masters around me. These seals, these flags, and these emblems is already inside of the United States court system. Here is an example of the flag in the seal that I have already loosed inside of the United States District Court. Take a look at it now. Take a look at it. Because when it comes to life in your face, do not say that the Messiah did not come and tell you. This is a new revolution. This is a new representation, man. This has nothing to do with opposite jurisdiction. That's out of the door. This has all and everything to do with sovereign jurisdiction. We're in the court system now. I'll tell you something else that I'm in the court system doing. I am suing the Federal Bureau of Investigation down in the Southern District Court for claims other than claiming me. As a sovereign native indigenous Muslim God. And when I pulled my records in Lake County, Illinois, I found the central and the federal files that laid right in my hand. And I said, oh boy, what are these people doing to me and what are they doing to my people? When you begin to receive the paperwork, the legal paperwork, the legal documents that they have on you and I, and just with the stroke of a pen has reclaimed you and renamed you after their ancestors, took your land, classified you or reclassified you as 3/5 of all other people, not even a man. Called you their names. You see it on Facebook. You see it all right. Richard. That's why I keep it right there so that you can see it. Richard. Excuse my speech. Ain't that a... I won't say it. I'm on national video. Are you serious? Richard. These names, the cultures, we took on their cultures. We took on their names. We took on their lifestyle. We start to eat the swine. We start to deal and do the same dealings that they do. They're homosexuals. They're doing certain things, man. We start to do the same kind of things. And that one I've never got involved with by the grace of Allah. But you see it because they taught you how to do it. And then when you find someone coming along as myself to kind of remove you from that position, then you have a problem. But I'll be honest with you, I haven't had a problem out any of my people since I started demonstrating. I'm just very fortunate. Typically, when I talk to my people, they understand and they begin to line up and get things in order. And all praise be to Allah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. I take no credit for that. What I take is that I have studied, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who allows his creature to do what? Be cool, man. So there is a lineage in the bloodline that we come from that is sacred. We're not this barbaric people, killing one another, robbing one another. I told you once before, they were just talking to me in prison about what would you do as far as prison reform is considered. I wouldn't reform it with anything that I've seen inside of it, because the only thing that they're doing with those systems that lies inside of the other systems is making money off of it. They can care less if you're reformed or not. I wouldn't fix you up with anything but the Kemetic science in Islam. Because both of those you're going to need. You're going to need your nationality and you're going to need your creed. Because these are the 2/5 in which the Caucasian race took away from you. The founding forefathers, the Freemasons, in their chambers. 1863, 1865. This was going down. Once so-called you were freed as false citizenry from Abraham Lincoln. And you see, they took him out because he was trying to deceive the people in giving them a sense of freedom because he was losing a war. So his stratagem was at that present time, because they would have been British subjects. So he decided to release and remove the slaves from one place to the next. And they all started coming up north. And there it is, the pole shifted. See, you got to know how to make the pole shift. And went from down south to up north. And the British eventually faded away. But you go from one form of physical bondage and slavery, and then you go into being systematically deceived into thinking that you are free. And once you put your name on that chattel paper, you actually lock yourself into another form of slavery. So my mother, your mother, took you and I down to the Daily Center, wherever it was at that present time, Cook County, or wherever it was at that present time, took you down there and signed you over to the Caucasian, who at that present time, the rate was $23 a rate. And that could be questioned. 23,000. I'm just being told that at that present time. Could be more than that. Investigate it. Some of the numbers can be off. But took you and I and signed us on. Who told them that I was their baby? Who told them, or who gave them the consent, the power of authority or attorney to start dealing with me as if I belonged to them? Who did this? All persons born or naturalized. All persons born or naturalized. And then we find that the word person in this clause is really where the key is at. Because the 3/5 naturalization clause lies under the term person. It's obfuscated or cloaked under the term person, because person is in representation to the individual that is now 3/5. It's not even classified as a man. But the word person is there, and that 3/5 man or that 3/5 classifications is right there. Excuse the expression, not even a man or not even a woman, according to their constitution. Not just what they're saying. So there is a Mona Lisa that I had tapped into when I put the lawsuit in. It's the Juris Fizel versus the United States of America, the United States Supreme Court, the Federal Reserve, banks, Illinois Internal Revenue. And you just go on and on and on and on until you build up a nucleus. They call it the Lisa. I'm telling you what they call it. They call it the Mona Lisa. And when I synced that, and I said that this is what and who I'm going up against, because all of those corporations had hands in on the development of slavery. This is how they got their corporations built. So when you're dealing with these cruel people, you're dealing with a nucleus that if you're not understanding what you're doing, you're doomed. So what I did was I went and got the United Nations World Court in Geneva, Switzerland, to step in and intervene on my behalf. You know, that is ran by the 7 most richest, powerful families in the world. The Bilderbergs, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and you just go on and you just go on and go on and on and on. These individuals are classified as the top 1% in the country, in the world. When you begin to find out that you have a royal DNA, that DNA it has already been witnessed and examined and investigated by those who oppose you. They knew you were coming. But now is your coming a coming that could actually dethrone them, or it could help out the world become a better place? When real messiahs come, they don't only deal with your situation. They deal with every situation in the world because they have the capacity to do so, because it is God in person. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not feel any fatigue in holding up his heavens and making sure that the earth sustains itself. This is easy for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Slavery is real, man. But your DNA is more real than anything on the planet. Your very brain that you have, the very brain that we have, the very brain that I'm speaking for is the results of 66 trillion years of absolute perfect development. 66 trillion years. Zinthranthropus. The anthropologist has found bones way back of a man or male named Zinthranthropus. 66 trillion years ago. So that tells me that there was a brain there at that time, and it's a brain here today. That means that our brains are the results of 66 trillion years of perfect development. And you think that you cannot think something into existence or speak something to existence from that brain? That's brain power. Once you clean it up, it's going to start working for you. It's going to take you on the journey. Right now, my brain is taking me on the journey. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had it set already to do a particular thing before I even went into my mother's womb. See? So this is a real live revolution. It's invincible. And if you're not thinking about becoming or being sovereign and coming back to your original self, don't even come to the temple, man. Don't even step across the threshold, man. That's why I'm putting out videos now to explain what point and what level that we're after right now, because creation is finna come against you. You're in the last days. You're in judgment day. So creation is about to come against you. You say, well, whoa, you're saying some serious things here, because now some of us is not ready. Then die. Because for some of you, I look at you and I understand that some of you are older than I am. And you should have been ready. And then if you're not ready, get ready. And if you're ready, stay ready. That brings me to the Honorable Noble Drew Ali. Peace and blessings be upon him, my ancestor. Who, when it comes to talking about being sovereign, when it comes to talking about being a nation or a empire that was free, these people respected him like no other, man. Honorable Noble Drew Ali has my respect 100%, because what he did, he left a science of how to implement a sovereign nation or a sovereign empire. And when I began to go into the dark rooms, into the master temples to understand the science that he had left behind, man, I had went to a whole nother level. The Adap chambers, studying all the masters, finding out what did they leave behind, where did they come up short at. Let me get that. There is a royal lineage that runs from the beginning of Quran, which extends far beyond that to the reality and the essence of Allah. When it takes matter, when we can actually see the cord of DNA, we look into the Holy Quran and we look into some of the biblical scriptures that explain the DNA of our ancestors up until now. The children of Israel, the Hebrew Israelites, or the Hebrews, the Muslims, the Moors, the Comeditans, the Nubians. This thing is big, man. And it's all coming to life. Everything that I'm saying is coming to life to you. You in your time and you in your moment. But this particular DNA that I wanted to discuss briefly as I wind down to a conclusion of this presentation today is that it is a DNA cord that was very sacred and very holy. Meaning that most of this particular DNA lineage that I'm going to bring up connects to some of us. Right in the biblical scriptures, which is relative to us. You know, when you see Ibrahim, when you see Maryam, when you see Zarika, when you see many more of the ancestors that's there, that's relative to you. Those are your people. So if in fact that those are your people, then what did my people do to defeat the shaitan, or in other terms, the devil? Well, one of the most beautiful and sacred surahs that I find in the Holy Quran is the mother Maryam, alayhi salam. The mother of Isa ibn Maryam, whom you call Yeshua or Jesus Christ today. The mother Maryam in her sacredness. But in this particular surah, I find a succession of miracles. Now pay attention to this surah, because only thing was taking place in this surah was the power of what they were saying in complementation, complimenting themselves. Thinking about also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Contemplating is the word I'm looking for. Excuse me. In their secret chambers, talking to the Lord of all the worlds, the Rabbil Alameen, one-on-one. And then we find in this surah that I'll get to in a minute that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know what he was doing? He was bringing their dream. He was bringing their reality to life. And not only that, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had chosen them, because they were a chosen lineage, a chosen family. That's why we believe in the bloodline. Even as gods and Shiite Muslims, we believe in the bloodline. Because the minute you cut yourself from the essence or the reality of the bloodline, you're dead. That's why you ain't got nothing now. That's why I'm in the courts right now, getting back land, water, and air right now. Because you cut yourself, you detach yourself from your DNA. And if you detach yourself from your DNA, then you can't get no inheritance from your DNA that comes from this soil. So as long as he's not running around talking about nationality or his domicile or her domicile or her home in which they come from, man, ain't nobody worried about you claiming that. Give him $1 million and let him go do what he got to do. He'll sell out, nigga. And that's what happens to most individuals. They get to the court level and things get to going good and they say, oh, I'm about to win this. Well, you had that coming anyway. The chumps owe you anyway, man. That's That's what reparations is all about. They owe you anyway. Indemnification, to be indemnified, meaning that, man, we're supposed to be giving you everything back that we took from you. We own your soil, your jurisdiction. We're alien to their jurisdiction, but you're the one that's crying out about some kibbles and bits. The minute they give it to you, you sell out. Well, you got $100,000. You done got $50 million. Man, them people just gave me $50 million. Man, I'm straight. But you done forgot about the empire, man. You done forgot about the nation, man. That's why this kind of education and this kind of talk off the brain is so raw and real, man. You got to keep it real when it gets to that. This is what you need. You go before the court system and you sell out. You sell out. I just had a person that sold out for some real good money. Supposed to still stay with the fight. Sold out. Got a couple of million and he ran. Not even worried about his people no more, man. My interest is you. This DNA that runs through the 19th surah of the Holy Quran, the Surah Maryam, is a serious DNA. And it is a DNA that could not be touched by even the enemy. Because that in which the prophets, in which the Mother Maryam prayed upon, came to life. You mean to tell me that I have the power inside of me to just pray or through thought activity, think something into existence and it's going to appear? You mean to tell me that I got that in me, in my loins? Yes. Yes, you do. And I'm meeting several sisters and brothers right now that's finding themselves in situations where they're starting to speak about certain things and they seeing it manifest themselves right before them. And they saying, man, what is this? This feels crazy. Creepy. And the reason why you can't embrace it is because you've been brainwashed. You've been bamboozled to think otherwise. The champions has gone before us. They gave us the game. They taught us well. In spite of what you want to think about today, man, you have to stand up and become sovereign. This is the al-Mulk. In this particular surah, which is a chapter, it's another holy verse that I read to send out more blessings to you as my people. But in this particular surah, we would see that the miracles was happening miracle after miracle according to the bloodline of the individual. So it was happening to Zechariah, alayhi salam. It happened to Yahya. It happened to Maryam. It happened to Isa ibn Maryam. And it just started going on and on and on. Musa alayhi salam and Harun alayhi salam. Lut, Ibrahim alayhi salam, Ismail, Ishaq, Yahud. This is a bloodline. What happened to you and I when it comes to the bloodline is the question. Who severed this thing? Man, look, man, you just need to practice a religion, man. We don't even do the bloodline thing or the nationalism thing. We don't even do that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not a part of that. You ain't a part of Allah. Allah Akbar. Reverse that statement. You ain't a part of Allah. And you're lying on Allah. Astaghfirullah. So this particular reads this way. Hang in there with me. Na'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. We seek refuge in Allah from the rejected shaitan. Na'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. We seek refuge in Allah from the rejected shaitan. Na'udhu billahi. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the benefactor, the redeemer. Kaf, ha, ya, ayn, sad. And these are the abbreviated letters that only the scientists know what they are. ذكر رحمة ربك لعبده زكريا This is an account of the mercy of the Lord shown to his servant Zachariah. It was an account. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was showing him something. He's a powerful man of prayer and worship. Zachariah. I call him sometimes the godfather of the lineage, the DNA. Watch what it says. Subhanallah. إِذَا نَدَى رَبُّهُ الْنِدَاءً خَفِيًّا. When he, Zechariah, called upon his Lord from a secret chamber. You'd be surprised what's going inside of a secret chamber. Khafiyah, that's the word. Secret chamber. What's going on inside of the secret chamber is what I want to know. How these brothers and sisters coming in contact with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the knowledge of self, or the supreme being, they are inside of the Arabic reads khafiyah. They're in secret conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we understand that the development of anything that you won't start from a secret conversation inside of a chamber or temple with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The book saying it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is laying it down. You don't contemplate enough to get the success that you want. Gotta sacrifice, man. And woman. Okay. Ayat 5, it reads, Khala Rabbi inni wa khanal adamul mini wal ta'ala rasul shayban walama akun bida'uika rabbi shahiya. This is the book. This book has the power to overturn governments, overturn situations. Just start chanting it and start reading it, and I can guarantee you I'll do it. I'll change your whole world. Watch what he says. Zachariah said, "Oh, my Lord Allah, the bones have indeed waxed before in me, and the head glistens with hoariness. But never, my Lord, have I been unblessed in my prayers to you." Say, even if my hair was growing with gray, I know I'm getting old. But you have never answered my prayer. Isn't that beautiful? That's beautiful. See, every time I made dua, it's the Arabic word for prayer. Every time I make dua or sajda and I prostrated myself on the ground, you answered me. And that's powerful, man. That's powerful. You ain't got to do nothing else. Everything gonna come to you. But because you don't invest in that way of worship, see, you got to go get everything. You can't sit and build you no temple and let everything come to you. You ain't got that kind of power, man. Every time you turn around, you up and moving. Your woman got to tell you sometime, baby, why you don't never stay home? Man, why you got to go to everything and everybody? You ain't got no power. Because he had some power, everything would be coming to you, and you be saying to him, baby, where's all this stuff coming from? You ain't gave nobody nothing. See, I just went in the chamber and I prayed for it and it showed up. What else you need? You think this is not a joke, man. This real deal. I live it. With this book. The glorious Holy Quran. Watch it. He says, I have never been unblessed in my prayers to thee, even though I wax feeble in my old age. Now watch this here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Quran quotes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying this here. Watch this here. وَإِنِّي كِفْتُ الْمَوَالِيَ لَمِنْ وَرَائِي وَكَانَتِ الْأَمْرَأَتِي آخِرًا فهب لي من لدنك وليا. Ain't nothing beat us, man. This is the book. In it there is no doubt. Alif Lam Mim, ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين. Say, in this book there is no doubt for those who fear Allah and believe and work righteous deeds and believe in the unseen world. There is no doubt. La reba. This is it. Watch this. And I fear my relations after me, and my wife is barren. Grant me, therefore, a successor from thyself. You see what he's doing? He said, I need an heir. I need something to come from my loins and somebody to come from my loins to carry on my legacy. DNA, man. Beautiful surah about DNA. I need a successor, an heir, a khilafa, a chief, to come from the womb of my woman. But right here, his woman's womb is barren. It's locked up. She can't have no children, man. But the power of prayer and the power of dua opens up the